Hi everyone, thanks to be with us for the big talk from The Big Whale, the media that want to bridge the gap between the crypto space and a traditional world without losing the philosophy brought by Bitcoin or Ethereum. Today I'm very pleased to host Jeremy Allaire, who is the CEO of Circle, which had just officially obtained the electronic money license in Europe. Why it's important? Because that allows a stablecoin issuer to operate in a regulated way in Europe. Only a few actors, especially a few crypto actors, managed to get it in time. So my first question, Jeremy, will be that, can I say you're a relieved man today?
I'm incredibly excited. We have spent literally years working on
More over a year,
for quite some time, working very hard as a company, working very closely with French government, French regulators, EU policymakers, a very significant amount of work, really over the past 2 years to get to this point where we have both USDC and EURC as authorized stablecoins in the European Union. Not only have we attained the license, but it's operational today. Circle France is available. Circle Mint is available to European entities, and you can directly mint and redeem USDC and EURC from our European regulated operations with European banking. We have the full reserve infrastructure up and in place in Europe, including the reserve infrastructure for USDC that is held by European entities. And I think we're thrilled. I'm super excited, we think, like you said in your introduction, I think this is a pivotal moment in the evolution of the crypto industry because we're really starting to see, once you have regulations around this new form of money, this new legal form of euro and dollar electronic money, it really does change, I think, significantly what can happen in this market.
Yeah. So, Jeremy, just to be clear, many of our subscribers, for example, at The Big Whale, wonder what this license will change for them. Now that you have the license, you're authorized. So what does it mean for those for listen to us concretely? What does it change for them, for the retail, to a retail perspective?
Well, a couple things. I think the first is that we held as a very key priority that USDC and EURC would remain global fungible tokens.
Yes.
And so it's the European regulatory regime. There are some similar regimes like in Japan, but the European regulatory regime is the first that sort of figures out a way to take a global stablecoin like USDC and have a way to regulate that within a given geography while it's also being issued in another geography. And so we've pioneered this dual issuance model. And so from an end user perspective, if you hold USDC or you hold EURC, nothing changes, okay? What happens though is if you're a European person or European entity, you have a redemption right according to EU law, and you ultimately have a redemption of last resort with Circle. You have a redemption right. Now, for most people, they use Coinbase or Binance or Kraken or Bitava or Bitstamp, all these different great products that are available, and they can use the bank rails, they can trade, they can do all these things. They can continue to do exactly all of that. So nothing changes in terms of the digital tokens and what they hold. But now you as a European person have incremental protections, statutory legal protections around USDC and EURC in Europe. I think so that's, I think, one thing just in terms of what's there. What changes though is that under MiCA law, there are going to be authorized stablecoins and there'll be unauthorized stablecoins. We are the very first dollar stablecoin, global regulated dollar stablecoin to be authorized in the European Union. And so I think what that will mean is that any exchange, any wallet service, any product that offers access to stablecoins to European persons.
So there is no question around this, there's no restriction. So it's clear right now.
It is clear. And what's also clear is that as MiCA goes into effect, there will also, stablecoins that are not regulated under MiCA and are not able to meet all of the stringent requirements will not be able to be offered to European persons. So I think it's, we're seeing this happen in other markets as well. And I think as stablecoin laws come online in the United States, we're going to see very similar types of things as well. And
so, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So it took over a year, to get this license. To my perspective, it's quite a surprise because you are one of the biggest player in the industry, which puts the regulation in the center of your strategy all the time. So what was the hardest part of this process? Can you describe why it took over a year to get this license?
Well, I think there are a lot of things. I think the first is this is a completely new regulatory regime. And, literally, even as of just the past couple of months, the European Banking Authority was really finalizing the regulatory stipulations for these, asset reference tokens, e-money tokens, and how they're going to be treated and supervised, right? So, going from the law to the implementation and the coordination of the Banque de France and the ASPCR and the EBA, and then also because we are regulated out of the United States, USDC is issued in the United States under a regulatory regime. We also have to get regulators in the United States comfortable with the regulators in another jurisdiction. They need to figure out, okay, how is this going to work? We're both now regulated.
Interesting. So it's like you describe you are putting the pressure on the regulation in the United States in a way.
We are, and a globally available fungible digital dollar token puts that pressure on regulators to have that. And we're going to see more of that around the world. And so that's complicated, right? And this model of a dual issuer model where Circle France is a legal issuer of USDC and having that function and building out the reserve infrastructure, the treasury management infrastructure, the mechanisms of accountability for how that flows, ensuring that the reserves that are happening for, say, USDC in Europe are meeting all the MiCA requirements, and doing that all in a automated, well risk managed, compliant fashion that everyone can understand. There's a lot of work to do that. So we've been working very, very hard, obviously, ultimately focused on making sure that today, July 1st, that we're launched. And so we're excited to be able to have these products launched the day that MiCA goes effective.
Just Jeremy, it's interesting because you are saying it's fungible, so that's mean to my perspective and according to my information, so you are able to manage, between the reserve based in America, for example, and reserve mint or based in Europe, or especially in France or around Europe. I don't know. Is it correct to say that?
Correct. That is correct.
Okay. And how many banks did you find for your reserves? It's possible to know, or some name maybe.
So we have multiple banks, European banks that are the reserve banks, and we have multiple transaction banks. So customers can create and redeem using local banking rails, payment rails, and then we have multiple reserve banks. One is one of the global systemically important banks that is already a primary custodian for USDC, and another is I think a very successful European bank with a strong focus in fintechs and working with fintech innovators.
Okay, interesting. There is some. I'm going to continue to be tricky. There is some French bank involved in the setup.
Is there a French bank involved in the setup?
Yes.
So I don't think we're disclosing the actual banks. I actually apologize because I don't actually know what's going to be publicly disclosed on that.
Okay.
I think the public attestations, when they come out, I think we'll have that information.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, there are just a few players authorized to operate right now, but none as big as Circle. So, for example, there is a smaller player like Monerium, for example, or Gemini, but it's not very a huge stablecoin issued by Gemini. So now you have a clear path in Europe. What's the next step, and what's your ambition, in Europe regarding that?
Yeah. So, from my perspective, this is a huge opportunity. So first, just the opportunity for dollar and euro stablecoins in digital asset markets and crypto markets in Europe is huge. So it's already, stablecoins are the preferred way of using these cash-like instruments on trading platforms and in exchange platforms, and so we believe it's a very significant opportunity for us to grow that and grow our share of that. And I think as the requirements are strict in terms of what platforms are going to be able to support, I think we're in a very strong position to grow our market share there. The second is, now that we are authorized and operating as a European regulated company, of course, with MiCA being passportable, that really opens up a huge amount of growth for us as a company. So we are investing significantly in business development, compliance, operations, sales, marketing, policy, the whole thing. So our European investments are growing fast. You're going to see us all over Europe
Yes.
as a firm. And so, this is one of those things where, having regulatory clarity is a huge unlock, because it gives you the confidence that you can really invest. And so I think that is the sort of the risk management part of regulation, and then there's the opportunity creation part of regulation. And so we view this as a huge enabler. And the way I've been talking about this is that because of MiCA, now dollar and euro, digital dollars and digital euros that run on blockchains are a legal form of electronic money in the European Union. That is a huge deal. So we now have these digital currency euros, digital currency dollars that are a legal form of electronic money, where every person, every entity, every financial institution, every corporation knows what they are, knows their supervision, knows the risks, knows all of this, and they can depend on them. And so really, for the first time, if you're a financial institution, if you're a securities dealer, if you're an exchange, if you're a payments company, if you're a corporation, any of these things, you can now confidently use this infrastructure. And as an accountant who works, say, in a finance department of a firm, you can say, oh, okay, this is a cash equivalent instrument. I know how it sits in my accounting statements. I know how it works in my balance sheet. I know how I take this as collateral or working capital. And so having legal certainty of stablecoins as electronic money is just a huge breakthrough. And so my perspective is, when I think about growth and what this means for Circle, is the opportunity for us goes way beyond just trading in crypto markets, right? This is the moment where the technology usability, the scalability of blockchain infrastructure, and the legal certainty all come together to make this something that can be applied in everyday commerce, in everyday finance, in many, many applications. And so I expect Europe and financial institutions in Europe to race ahead of the rest of the world in embracing this, because they have legal certainty for the treatment of these new financial instruments. So that's the turning point for me. I think this is the moment when we can definitively say that this industry is moving from an industry that was really focused almost entirely on digital assets to an industry that's focused on the practical applications of this new form of money.
Okay, interesting. So can we know more about those opportunities that you mentioned, and some use cases you want to develop, especially in Europe, regarding, for example, the payment, the settlement for some tokenization project? Are you in talk with some big banks in Europe regarding all of this?
our team is having great discussions with a lot of different types of companies. Tokenization of real world assets, lending products. We're seeing people doing cross-border payment settlement products, traditional capital markets that are not traditional crypto exchanges, but actual other types of capital markets. Consumer banks that want to add a new payment rail. So all of these are opportunities that we're seeing emerge, and we're obviously still in the early stages of that. And so yes, the answer is yes. We're having a lot of really exciting conversations. Everyone, including everyone in the crypto markets and everyone in traditional markets, has been waiting for this moment to be like, is this available? Is this now like live? Is it regulated? And so we're here, and so now that answers that question.
Have you ever thought at any moment that you don't gonna have this license?
You never know, right? Political winds shift. It's policy is unpredictable in some ways, but I guess my view has been that when a country or a region establishes a major new policy and regulatory regime, right? For these regions, like the policy and the regulation is itself kind of like a product, and so that product is becoming available, and the product is the license, and so they need the product to work. They need great companies who are high quality, who are innovative, that are world class, who they can say, hey, we've created this. We are attracting the best companies in the world. We are holding them to these high standards. And so it's important. They need that success, just like we need that success. And so from my perspective, that gave me a lot of hope that the policy and regulatory community would say, yes, this is something that we need to figure out how to do and make it happen. Obviously, different deadlines, timeframes. That's the part that you can't always predict.
Yeah. So, are you planning in the following months to hiring more people? Can we know more about how Circle bigger will be in the following months? In Europe, are you planning to develop yourself? The company in Germany, in Ireland, I don't know, Spain, Italy.
Yeah. So we have been hiring ahead of this.
Yes, especially in France. That I know.
We have quite a number of roles in France. We're hiring across the whole region to cover the whole region. So we have people in France. We have people in Germany. We have people in England. We have people in Dublin. So we're hiring across the region to support all aspects of our operations, and we have people in Switzerland as well. And so we're going to grow these investments, right? So we're going to continue to grow these investments, and the way we grow is we sort of look at everything every few months and say, okay, what do we next need to do? I think as we go through this launch, you're probably going to see a lot more from Circle in Europe over the next several months, but I'm optimistic. We've already done a lot of hiring. We're going to continue to be hiring. I'm not giving out like specific numbers, but it's a fairly sizable number of people who work already within the region as a whole for Circle.
Okay, so you are one of the only player to get this license already in time. So you often repeated it. Regulation is inevitable, but is it healthy to be almost the only large crypto player able to operate in a regulated manner in Europe? How do you explain this? Is it the European market still a competitive market or accessible market for crypto player, especially regarding stablecoins?
Yeah, I mean, I think it absolutely is. And I was actually talking to someone on another show yesterday about this, which is that regulation creates conditions for competition. And in fact, until these regulations are in place, major players, whether they're payments companies or banks, have been on the sidelines, right? They've been reluctant to launch products in this space. My belief is that you're going to see a lot more products launched, dollar, euro, and other things. I think you're going to see a lot more products launched.
But so in the following months, it will be especially launched or issued by some traditional player like banks. Is it not a problem for you?
I think we're very focused on building a global scale platform and working to make sure that we are available all around the world. I mean, over the last year, we've made a huge investment as a company in opening up operations and being regulated in other markets as well, like in Singapore. We offer the Asian market access to USDC through the regional banking systems. We offer USDC access in Hong Kong. We have banking infrastructure now in Brazil, soon in Mexico. We're now fully available throughout Europe. We've already announced we're working towards a launch in Japan. So we're building infrastructure around the world so that sort of USDC and EURC are accessible, liquid, and I think our approach is maybe different than the way banks might approach this. We think about what we're doing as building a general purpose platform. It's a public infrastructure. These protocols, these smart contracts, protocols like CCTP, abstractions that we're building. This is just general infrastructure on the public internet. And we're really focused on making sure that that's a world-class utility that anyone can connect to and build on in a permissionless way. Yeah, and we think that is a huge part of building the network value that we have. And so, we have this sort of developer first open infrastructure model. And we think that's kind of how we've approached things from 6 years ago when we launched USDC till today. And I think that will continue to be, will allow us to be a very, very, very competitive platform.
But, you maybe we have to say that, I'm going to say in this way, from my perspective, you are the bank of the future, because one of the biggest bet to say as a journalist, for example, that, a blockchain, public blockchain especially, will be in the center of the future traditional financial system. So that's maybe our bet. Yeah, so that's our bet. So to my perspective, and most of the time it's a big word to say that, but Circle will be one of the biggest bank in the future. So to my point of view, you're in a perfect position, to be one of the biggest bank in the future. Is it correct to say that?
Well, I mean, look, my view is we're in the early stages of the development of what I like to call the internet financial system. And the internet financial system is a financial system that's built from the ground up on the internet. Public internet infrastructure, including public blockchain infrastructure, a base layer of money that is a full reserve form of money that is not, fractional reserve money, but it's a kind of full reserve money, and programmable, composable infrastructure that allows for every form of financial intermediation to happen on that internet platform. I think that system is one that will drive significant new forms of access, innovation, but it also will actually provide an environment which is safer, more inclusive, easier to manage risk, and
with more transparency.
More, so all the and certainly more efficient, right? So that's what we believe, and we believe that similar to other changes that the internet brought, you kind of had an internet communication system evolve, an internet media system evolve, internet information, internet commerce. You had these like kind of global scale utilities that were many times just built up on open software, open standards, widely available kind of distribution that have really changed how we think about those categories. Like, we don't think about Facebook as a telecommunications company, right? We don't think of Google as a media company. We don't think of Amazon as a logistics company, right? So I think when I think about the internet financial system, I think that there are going to be major companies that are providing that infrastructure, that are doing it as a platform that other people can build on top of, and that at the monetary level, that kind of that core monetary infrastructure are going to be highly regulated. That monetary infrastructure is going to be highly regulated, and so we do expect to be a global scale, highly regulated money issuer that also runs these open public technology platforms as well. And so we just look a little different than
it's a bank with a technological product that in this way. I know it's not it's complicated to say that regarding the regulation, the traditional one. I know, but we have to clarify. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, there's like what I like. It's funny, but there's like fintech. Maybe there's tech fin, but there's also like I kind of think about the work that we do as like the deep tech of fintech, right? Deep tech being like you're really going to the core of something and working on solving at that level, whereas a lot of fintech has been kind of abstractions, around the existing system.
Jeremy, I have one more question,
Sure.
to finish, or maybe two. Did you ever feel some fear from the regulators in Europe, because you are an American player, a biggest one, especially in crypto space, and enter to the European market? So did you ever feel, some fear, some waiting, wait and see regarding the regulator in Europe during the process for your license?
I try to avoid fear at all costs.
Okay.
But no, I mean, look, like, I think, if you remember, this regulation was originally developed in reaction to Libra.
Yes.
It was originally developed as a reaction to.
So Libra was a stablecoin issuer from Facebook or Meta.
Yeah, the attempted stablecoin issuer from Facebook, and really the European Union moved swiftly to say we need to build a regulation that doesn't allow that to happen. And then I think it became more also like reflecting, oh, this is a real innovation. There's these products. We need to have rules. So it became more balanced, right? Originally, it kind of came from this stop this outside force, and eventually it became we need a sound framework to do this, and that was also consistent with other regulators around the world. And then I think as things progressed, what we saw was that the European regulators, they want to figure out how this is going to work. Right? There's a real world of real products and real companies.
With real use cases.
Real use cases. How's this going to work? And what I saw was European governments. I saw that very much from the French government, as well as pan-European, parts of this, like working really hard to like figure out how this can work. And that's really positive. And so as I saw those things, I didn't have fear. I was like, I'm very encouraged. And so I think the Europeans are leading the world right now in thinking through these issues. They're ahead of us.
Oh, really? So sorry, Jeremy, but do you think that United States should take inspiration from Europe to regulate stablecoins?
Absolutely. I think this is a real shot across the bow to the U.S.
Okay.
I mean, look. I'm in conversations with senior U.S. government officials, and I'm telling them the digital dollar is being regulated in Europe before it is in the United States.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. And regarding that, what did you choose to launch an Euro stablecoin, which is the EURC? Isn't too risky given the low demand at this moment. It's not so popular to use a euro stablecoin, especially regarding the rates issued from central banks. Because it's more comfortable to have a dollar stablecoin because you can get the yield from the treasury bills, for example.
Well, so for collateral and trading and markets, I think dollars are still quite popular, but I think we're making a long-term bet, and the long-term bet is that this form of money, euro digital currency that operates on public blockchains, that is a legal form of electronic money, is a superior form of money, and that real-world everyday applications in commerce and payments and finance are going to be built on this technology. And the firms and households that are going to use that are going to do it in euro because that's the economy they operate in. And so we're very bullish about the growth of euro stablecoins. I don't have a prediction about how fast or how large, but the passage of MiCA opens up the opportunity to utilize this new form factor of euros immediately in innovative ways. And so I expect to see growth that's driven by that. And it doesn't mean that euro will take over as the core, say, collateral on digital asset trading markets. I do think you'll see some relative growth there, but I don't think it takes over. But I think where we see the growth is in mainstream utility from this new kind of euro.
Okay, so we're going to finish the interview with this question. What is missing for stablecoins, to be massively adopted both by retailers and by institutional player? To your perspective, you're going to say regulation, but there is something else.
No, I mean, I'm very consistent about my views on this. So I've been generally saying there's three things that are really critical. So one is legal certainty. Without legal certainty, broad society will not adopt these. Check. We have legal certainty. That's a huge thing.
In Europe, not in the United States yet.
Coming soon to a government near you. By the end of 2025, you will have legal certainty on stablecoins in almost every major market in the world. That is very clear. So legal certainty. A second is the infrastructure itself needs to be able to handle high throughput, low transaction costs. It's reliable to be able to operate, deploy, and use that infrastructure, and it needs to work at a larger scale. And in the infrastructure area, I think we are basically there. What I'm seeing right now with innovations in layer ones and layer twos is tremendous progress. The tooling, the operational tools, the enterprise tools, the things that are needed for people to actually build, deploy, and operate have evolved massively. So I think that we are basically going to be there at the infrastructure, being able to support more mainstream scale adoption. And then the final and probably the most important thing is the user experience. The user experience for going from the existing financial system into this new internet financial system has to be completely seamless. You have to be able to on-ramp into it and have a user experience where the crypto of it all becomes more invisible, where you don't care what blockchain you're on or what someone else is on, that you can make a transaction that works across whatever digital wallet people have, that you can not have to worry about what gas fees are, or having to own and buy other tokens.
Which wallet you have to
use, and you should be able to onboard with your Face ID and a passkey, and not a seed phrase and stuff that scares you, right? So all of those things are also being solved. Like every week, we're seeing new products launch that completely up the game in terms of
innovation. Is crazy in this space.
It is. It's incredible. And so when I look at that, and I'm a developer originally, and I'm a technologist, and when I look at the progress in the kind of Web3 UX, it's really accelerating fast. And so we're seeing breakthrough products launching. I think when you combine all these things, it makes me very, very optimistic about the next couple of years.
Okay, so thank you, Jeremy, for for this time. Thank you for this interview. And what can I say? I can say welcome in Europe officially. And yeah, we're going to follow, of course, all of this development, regarding stablecoins, not only about Circle, but I say as a journalist, even congratulations, for this journey, because you are, to my perspective, really the first, because you are the biggest stablecoin regulated in Europe. So yes, thank you again for your time, and good luck for this long journey about crypto and the payment and the stablecoins overall.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot to have you with us. Thank you.
Appreciate it.